Yeah, I got you some video when the cows went out. They all went out on their own. Red man, he was kind of like a traffic cop. He stood there and made sure they didn't run out so fast. The other dogs, they just walked about 10, 15 feet behind them. Not too much exciting, but man, my head's so stuffed up this morning that you couldn't hardly understand what I was saying. So, cleared that a little bit. Nice and chilly this morning. Everything's froze good. This thing's even turning white. Now, Piper Doug made an observation. He's got a 195. I think that's what it is. The tube on it's like 6 inches versus ours is 3 inch. That's a difference in manufacturing. I believe New Holland actually made this one. His was made by Gale. I know because I've looked at them, done my research, done my drooling. Wait for the dogs to come in, otherwise I won't hear the end of it. Blue was being lazy. He didn't want to go out when I went out to kick the cows out of the barn. So he said his upper beater's about this size. And yeah, that's about right. So just different manufacturers, different times too. His is 30, 40 years newer than this one. Wouldn't mind having one of those. Wouldn't mind having a couple. But all in all, I really like the international spreader. It does a better job, in my opinion. Home machine's a little wider, a little harder to fill, where I don't have the reach with the skid steer, but I weasel it over, get a load on. Excuse me again. My plan, since I got a good marker there, I'm going to see how that lines up with what's on this. But I'm thinking about taking a piece of pipe that will just fit inside the tube. So it'll be just the OD where my fingernail is there. And center it on that, weld it around the inside. That'll give that something to line up with. I mean, hell, even a freaking drive line on a PTO or your car has 1 inch to 1.5 inches of something there to keep it lined up. This got nothing. And I don't know if I'm going to bother putting that in the lathe. We'll see. I'd really rather not have to clean up that whole shaft because time you degrease that shaft so you can handle it, and then you got stuff in there you really don't want to be welding through. But I'm going to look for what I need. Hopefully get it a little warmer in here. I can crank the heat up earlier because I don't want to burn the shit out of my fancy BCP farming and trucking coat. So, take it off before I weld. Then I'll freeze my butt off. I just read Camo Cowboy's comment this morning. He said, yeah, it don't look overly heavy. No, it's not. It ain't over 3/16 wall. So, yeah. But here's what I came up with. I'm reasonably sure that, it starts in there with a ding in there. I straighten it up. It'll go in. That'll offer it some support. And I can drill holes and put plug welds in there, which will help stiffen it. And I trued this up somewhat. I didn't want to go too far. Get that centered on there. Weld it solid inside. And I'm a little bigger diameter, so I'm going to have to play to get it centered with that ledge. Took that back so I got room to weld. And I was looking at this, and I noticed it yesterday. The saw cut and buffing marks on that, and that's not a flat cut. There's a hump there, a little dip in there. And I was looking at that weld, and I thought, I'm not so sure that's original. I think we've messed with that before. Now keep in mind, we've had this spreader for 35, 40 years. It was used then. Get to looking at her. See the weld on that side? Yeah, that was done in this shop. So I'm not sure what all we did. I'm gonna say that by the looks of things, there's a plug weld there, and I'm not sure what the hell. The only thing I can think of is maybe Dad tried to do something different before my time, or somebody did. They might have had a pinhole in there, and then we might have just filled it. I don't know. I really don't. I do kind of remember that groove getting widened, because the way things came out after fixing it, it didn't fit right. That's for a snap ring. Another snap ring goes here. That keeps the sprocket portion of the clutch centered on here so that it turns freely, and then part of the clutch that engages it is on here. It just slips into it and catches. So yeah, I got a little dinking to do here. Worst part's just going to be getting it centered up as good as I can. But I just say, I got a feeling this may be on a slug that we had when we replaced the end. But either way, you know, it wasn't ever overly heavy. And the bad thing about where it did bust, you can kind of see it's tapered a little bit, kind of this way. That's because the shield that keeps the shit from getting into the bushing, when the bushings get loose, they rub on that and it wears them out. So that made it a little thinner. This side's all still on, as you can kind of see. And this side, that end with the chain on it, when the pressure hits from the manure pushing against it because your floor's moving, the chain helps support it. So that bushing, even though it's your drive end, lasts forever. The bushing that was at this end, we would replace every single year because we'd tear it out, because there's nothing there helping hold the shaft forward. And it just tore the hell out of the shaft. So that's actually a piece of ODM tube that I did a little screwing around at the end of it to kind of make it fit the screwed up shaft that was sticking out, and literally hammered that sucker on and then beat it around till it was straight. And in there somewhere in where you can't see, that's welded to the face of this. Hopefully that don't bust next, because I'm not looking forward to trying to get that bearing off and redo all that. But that's what we did to get away from that. This is to space it out. You know, I mean, shit can still get in. It gets in here. It can get into that void, but it can't get to the bearing. And that bearing's been on there for, I'd say, 15 years. Haven't touched it other than grease it every year. And say before, we were changing bushings every single year. We'd have to change the housing every 2 or 3 years. And, you know, that don't fly. This works better. I'd love to have a regular bearing on this end, but, you know, wouldn't have done me any good for this fix. So I probably ain't going to show you much other than what I got, because I feel like shit. And by the time I set up to try to show much, and yeah, anyway, I'll bring you back. Well, there it is. Fits like a saddle on a sow. But, yeah, actually, where I just drilled those holes, the burrs, I was counting on that. The burrs are going to hold it snug. Now the fun part is getting it so it's actually true. And there's really no common point you can measure off of anywhere. So about all I can do is try to clamp an angle iron to the side and measure off of it and hope I'm close. And I'm not going to shove that in there until I'm ready to, because like I said, I'm counting on those burrs to hold it. And I'm going to let go of that sucker because it's hot. Oh, another reason I figured we did this before. Right there in the middle of the screen, you see that little rust line? That's from taking a cutoff wheel and cutting through the old weld. See, it stops there? Because that's what was left of it. when it broke off before. But like I said, that's been probably 20 years ago. And yes, that's still plenty warm. I looked at it long enough. Okay, I tried clamping an angle iron on there. It didn't work worth a damn. Because it's not perfectly parallel, I should say. From about here out, it kind of slopes in a little. As you can kind of see it, it's actually from about my fingernail out. And even back in here isn't perfect. So, stuck it on hard enough, slip this end up so the bearing's holding it. And I know this end isn't perfectly true. I mean, it was as true as I could get it when I did it. Once it was wedged on there, it wasn't moving. So got it stuck, and then see if I can get you in the same spot. If it'll focus right. That's probably not perfectly true, but that gap looks a little tighter right there. But that's about as close as we're going to get it. That's one reason, like I told Ty, she was complaining the chain was a little loose. Well, you don't want to run the chain too tight, because if you run it too tight and it's not perfectly lined up, you'll tear the chain off, or worse. So that's where I'm going to weld her up. Got my plug holes done. Got out a little far on them, but that's okay. That just gives me a chance to catch the end of that in there good. Weld those up. Try to get a good root pass down low and get everything stuck together there, and then cap it and have to smooth it up because it's got to fit inside the shield. So yeah, I'm going to make it hot. Okay, we'll see if I can show you something. I know Nelson would never let me hear the end of it if I didn't show a little bit of sparky. I just welded the plug, so that'll hold everything true. And now, working my way around this part of it. And I'm not going to go all the way around one. I'm going to make sure I've got spots down good. And I hear a skid steer running, so Ty's getting ready to go start with one spreader. Hopefully she actually lets it get warmed up. She doesn't always do that. Hopefully you can still see. I see my wire feet can sneak into the little hole a little easier. That's got it all the way around. May as well actually show you. I got a little spot there, isn't really good, and a little spot there, but that's all down in there really good. Go through and cap that, smooth it up so it'll fit, and then let it cool off to handle it. Hopefully get Ty Linda to put it back together. Dang, I got way too long a video already. You ain't gonna get much else today. But there it is. Hit that with a grinder just to smooth it off so it fits into the shield. Call it good. That's my plan anyway. But I ain't gonna grab a hold of that for a little bit. I'm gonna let it cool. Then I'll grind it off. Well, after lunch. Ty helped me on this. Pain in the ass. I'll give you a quick rundown. Inside against the end where the weld is on the end of the shaft, there's shims there. Then the bushing goes on. Well, it didn't want to go together right. So we took shims out, and then I actually chamfered the inside of the bushing so it would fit in where it needed to, so it would actually go together. That's all together, chains on, and she just walked away. I was going to have her spin this because I don't know how true that shaft is. And I wanted to see with you. So let's see. I'm going to say that's pretty damn close. I mean, I realize I'm wiggling with the camera. She can try it. Okay, give her a spin. If I hold still, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that, especially her. So, only thing left to go on is the rest of the clutch and the spring for it.
I have the ass sitting for a minute.
Yeah, she's going to sit down for a minute. I don't blame her. It's been, well, shit, we've been at this for 2 hours.
Okay, but the bright side is, though, I had 5 spread today in 2 hours.
Yeah, she got 5 load spread.
I was going to beat that record.
She thinks she's going to beat my record.
I can, you know it. I've done it before.
See, the thing is, what she doesn't realize is my record is back in the day when I set my happy ass on the 175, and we actually had 3 spreaders going with 2 spreader drivers, so somebody was switching seats. And when you load a load literally every 4 to 5 minutes, and you do that all day long, it's really hard to beat that.
Okay,
And if we had bigger equipment, I mean, you know, you load a load in one scoop, you're done.
And
But
who's been switching seats? Not you.
no, it's kind of nice having switching seats. Anyway, hopefully that'll all stay together.
Oh, if anyone's wondering why I'm talking weird, it's because I have a sinus infection.
Yeah, hey, happy family, we're all sick.
It's Mom's fault.
It's Mom's fault. We blame her.
I get to blame her because she was
Of course,
sick
Becky's
first.
antibiotics. Thailand
I just got...
she's getting her antibiotics.
I don't have shit to me, though. I'm not put on a freaking mask and bullshit with people.
And, you know, being I'm right there with them. Yeah, we checked. Oh, no, they said, I just got to tough through it.
No, it's okay.
That's how I usually do it.
Again. So,
So, anyway, we're going to call it a success unless something catastrophically happens after it starts running.
I swear to God, if you just jinx us, I'm going to beat you with Chewbacca.
No, always be prepared for the worst, kid.
I'm serious.
So,
You just
anyway,
jinx
with
it.
that, I know this is way too long of a video, so thank you all for watching. Hope you all had a good hump day,
You can't
and
beat
hopefully
up
everybody
Mama.
has a great Thursday to go with it, right? It's kind of a nice day, except for the little breeze that's been coming through every now and then, which is freaking cold.